Greetings, fellow historians. Mr. G here, and if you're looking to create a timed write for APUS history that is so sophisticated, it will not only pass the national test, but also let you into any black tie party on planet Earth, you've come to the right place. Because here's the secret for sophisticated writing in APUS history. You ready? It's a secret. It's all in the design. Welcome again, fellow historians, to this edition of Adventures in APUSH, the YouTube series where we develop strategies for the APUS history test while also having some fun with pop culture along the way. With all that in mind, let's take a look at the strategy for this video. The super short game strategy for the DBQ. That's an interesting one. Let's take a look. Now, since I'm Iron Man today, I figured I'd share my arsenal of strategies for the document-based question, arguably the hardest component in the AP US history curriculum. The super short game is a strategy I share at the very end of the school year, right before the big test in May, because it has the same conditions of the test. They don't have previous exposure to the documents, and they have an hour to produce something. Now, fellow adventurers, if you would like to see a video for the other two DBQ strategies or any other component of the test in May, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to help. With that in mind, let's crush this DBQ. So here comes our DBQ materials. It comes from period 7, and the prompt reads, evaluate the extent of change in the domestic United States during the Second World War from 1939 to 1945. Let's draw our plan. So here is our schematic for the first paragraph. As you may know, 4 points out of 7 on the College Board rubric is the minimum for passing. And with the right design and strategy, we will get 2 of those points in this paragraph with context and thesis. Let's break it down. When it comes to context, there are several different strategies you can get this point, but they all serve the main goal of using 2 to 4 pieces of evidence to prove to your reader that you understand the prompt. So with that in mind, we are going to say that when the war started, the United States was not involved. They only got involved with the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and we joined the side of the Allies, and the war ends with us dropping the atomic bomb. All those elements come together to 100% guarantee we get the context point because we have at least 3 pieces of evidence for our context in only so many sentences. So now that we have our context, let's take a look at our thesis. The secret to earning the thesis point is picking 3 historical factors and explaining why they are the most important for answering the prompt. And in addition to doing that, you take the next step of explaining between those 3 factors, why is your number 1 factor the most important? And you do that by saying how that factor influences the other 2. Now, in my class, I teach my students Persia, politics, economics, religious trends, social trends, innovation, and art. So for this particular prompt, I'm going to say from 1939 to 1945, politics played the biggest role in impacting the domestic United States during World War II because total war policies completely transformed the American economy to produce weapons of war, while also drastically changing the social status of multiple communities, such as women, African Americans, and Japanese Americans. Now, fellow historians, it is worth mentioning that because we mentioned 2 Persia factors in that thesis, it suggests that we're going to be writing 3 body paragraphs. We are not with the super short game. The super short game emphasizes quality over quantity. It says, based on the quality of that first body paragraph, if we had more than 45 minutes to write a 5-paragraph essay using 7 documents we've never seen before, the rest of the paper would be that good. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the body paragraph anatomy. So now let's look at our schematic for paragraph 2. The 3 points we will earn from this paragraph are evidence from outside the documents, describing 3 documents, and analyzing 3 documents in that order. So here we are with our body paragraph. We open with a mini thesis. In this case, political factors played the biggest role in impacting the domestic United States. Then we get to evidence from outside the documents. Now with this, it serves two purposes. It helps explain the mini thesis, the topic sentence, if you will. And if you play your cards right, it can explain the meaning of one of the three documents you're describing. So in this particular case, what we're going to do is examine this document written by and delivered by Charles Lindbergh, and he's talking about a couple different things here. You could plug in something like isolationism as a tool of explaining what's going on here with the content of Charles Lindbergh's speech. You could also very quickly bring up something along the lines of Washington's farewell address. College Board loves Washington's farewell address, and use that as a connection from tradition of independence from Europe. All those sorts of things work, but at the end of the day, evidence from outside the documents explains the Persia factor you're arguing, while also hopefully explaining one of the documents you're describing. Let's take a look at document description. So here are our three documents that I, ahead of time, qualified for politics. So the key to this, ladies and gentlemen and fellow historians, is to organize your documents in chronological order, not necessarily the way that they were presented in the packet. And this is why. It helps analysis really well on the back end, should you choose to do that. So let's take a look at document 3 here, U.S. Code Selective Training and Services Act. Now, in describing this document, I say this document qualifies for political trends and factors because it is a law requiring every male within a certain age range, 18 to 65, to submit for a draft during peacetime. Keep in mind it's 1940, Pearl Harbor hasn't happened yet. Now, that's our description for this document. Real quick, it's a law, qualifies for Persia factors for politics, and you have a situation in which people have to follow this law to prepare for the war. Taking a look at this Charles Lindbergh speech, this happens after 1941. This document qualifies for political policies because Charles Lindbergh is criticizing the Roosevelt administration. He is straight up saying this war is a European conflict and we are independent from Europe. We have been for several centuries and we shouldn't get involved. Boom, description, done. Finally, document 7. It's a certificate. This one might be trickier to do because it appears to be more economic than political at first glance, but it is a certificate, and it also has certify. It basically demonstrates that this is a political document because the entire reason this document exists is because the Office of Price Administration, a government entity, requires them to post it. And there we have it, fellow historians. We have the 4 points necessary for passing. Now, if we want to run up the score, we can. And I'm going to show you how with a very quick description of analysis. Now, keep in mind, folks, I am planning videos for all these components in deeper detail with more strategies, but for the purpose of this video, let's go to 5. Now, fellow historians, if you are not a student of mine, you might know this by the acronym HIPPO. I use the term POV Preconia because it spells out the College Board rubric very well. Point of view, purpose, context, and intended audience. I am planning a wide variety of videos on how you can POV Preconia certain documents, but we're going to take a look real quick at these documents right here. For the super short game, what you need to do is effectively prove one POV Preconia factor or the pair of POV Preconia factors that help you best answer the prompt. So with that in mind, we are really quickly going to take a look at the purpose of document 3. The purpose of the document is to establish a peacetime draft. We know it's a peacetime draft because it's written in 1940, a full year before the attack of Pearl Harbor. So purpose and context both play together to emphasize how the United States was planning on getting into the war an entire year before they actually entered the war. Now, you take a look real quick at Charles Lindbergh's document here. So with that in mind, you can do point of view, purpose, and context together here. Because with point of view, you're answering really two questions. What's the issue, and where does the author stand on the issue? So Lindbergh is really promoting isolationism by criticizing the Roosevelt administration's preparedness policies, because he's saying we should not get involved in Europe. And that also plays into the purpose. He's promoting isolationism, telling the American people, the US should not get involved in this European war. We should mind our own business. Now, if you wanted to go for context here, you can do this one of two ways. This is the secret of putting these documents in order. You can also take a next step and potentially say that because this document is written after document 3, the passing of the peacetime draft described in document 3 might very well in some way have inspired document 2, because the point of document 2 is to criticize the draft and criticize preparedness policies. And the purpose of context is to show the document's relationship with the broader time period. And that's one way to do it. Then finally, you get to document 7. We're going to do purpose and context here, emphasizing context. As you can see, this is written in 1942, September 1942, almost an entire year after Pearl Harbor. So, since it's written after Pearl Harbor, the US is in the war, and has been for over a year. And the entire economy has transformed, and we can tell this based on the fact that this certificate exists to show compliance with new total war policies. No one might have given a crap about rubber boots before the war, but now they do, because the government is involved in everything now, whereas even a year ago, that wasn't the case. And there you have it, fellow historians. Two paragraphs that 100% guarantee you those 5 points on the DBQ rubric on the APUS history test. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if there's any other component of the test you'd like. And with that in mind, since I do have these Infinity Stones, I think I'm going to go on vacation. See you next time.